The $15,000 tax credit available for first-time homebuyers has made it one stage farther. It is no longer just a drafted up proposal, but it is actually a bill that is being proposed into Congress. So today I'm going to talk through the differences between this and that $25,000 grant that you may have heard of. And we're going to talk through the specifics on this tax credit to see if you may qualify for these funds. I'm Nicole Nark, Arkansas real estate broker, and welcome back to my channel, videos to help you find your way home. Many of you may be confused as to if there is a grant, if there's a tax credit, what the difference is. And I'm not gonna lie, I have been confused through this as well because nothing has been passed into law yet. We are just dealing with proposals. So let's break it down really quickly for a little recap. Right now, we do have a grant that has been proposed. This is the Down Payment Toward Equity Act of 2021. And this was what we saw include up to $25,000 that could be given in grant money towards eligible first-time homebuyers to aid in their purchase. Now, this came with a lot of very specific criteria. The criteria included that you had to be a first-time homebuyer, you also had to prove that you were a first-generation homebuyer, and meet very strict income requirements. So this Down Payment Toward Equity Act with this grant money is still being considered, and we may get further updates on it in the future. Now, in addition to this, we do have a tax credit. This is the First Time Home Buyer Act, which comes along with $15,000 in a tax credit. Now, this is what has moved from just being a proposal to a formal bill. So keep in mind that Schoolhouse Rock song, I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. That's where we are with this. So this bill still has to go through the House of Representatives. It still has to go through the Senate. Both of those have to vote yes before this can even make it onto Joe Biden's desk, where he can vote yes on it as well if he sees that it should be passed into law. So let's break down this tax credit since this is what we have the most progress on so far. This tax credit is going to be available for eligible first-time homebuyers to cover up to 10% of the purchase price or $15,000, whichever is lower. So if you buy anywhere between a $150,000 house all the way up to any purchase price. Let's say it's an $800,000 house. The max you could get back is $15,000. But let's say you do find a house for $100,000. You would only get the 10% back as the tax credit, so you would get $10,000. An additional criteria is that you must make this house your primary residence. And you must occupy it for 4 years. So this is a little bit different. Now, if you do not occupy the house for 4 years and you get the tax credit back, they will add additional taxes on 4 years to come to recoup that tax credit from you. So the government, if this is passed, is not going to be playing around with this. The cool thing about this being a tax credit is a tax credit does give you a dollar for dollar reduction in the amount of taxes that you could owe, which could in theory result in a refund to you. So let's talk about who would be eligible for this tax credit with the verbiage included in this bill. You would have to be a first-time home buyer. So of course that means either you've never bought a home before or you have not owned or purchased a home in the last 3 years. Additionally, your home that you are buying would not be able to be more than 110% of the average purchase price in your area. So you'll have to open up Google and search what is the average purchase price in whichever area you are trying to buy. So for example, if that number turns out to be $300,000, then you could not buy a house that would be worth more than $330,000, since that would be 110% of the average purchase price in your area. Additionally, this tax credit could be available to low to middle income earners. Now, they do define this and say that you would not be able to make any more than 160% of the area median income. Now, let's do a quick calculation so that you guys can see how to figure that out on your own. I will leave a link in the description below that will take you to a great tool where you just put in an address or a city and it'll show you the exact median income in that area. So the area median income in my area where I live is $72,300. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take that median income and you're gonna multiply it by either 160% or 1.6. And that is going to give you the 160% of the area median income. So it would give you the maximum you could make in order to still qualify for this tax credit if it is passed into law with its current verbiage today. So I'm going to take my 72,300 here, and I'm going to multiply that by 160%, and that's going to give me 115,680. So that 115,680 would be the maximum that I could make and still qualify to get this tax credit. So you may be wondering, it is great that the Biden administration is trying to help first-time homebuyers, but why do we need a tax credit? The main reason that I think that the Biden administration is pushing this and why several representatives have continued to get this proposal moved to be a bill is because it has been proven effective in past years. In 2008, the Housing and Economic Recovery Act also included a tax credit for first-time homebuyers. At that time, the tax credit was $7,500 and over 1.5 million first-time homebuyers were able to take advantage of this tax credit. So I think that because this had such a great response the first time may be an additional reason as to why we are seeing more progression with this tax credit. Now, there are a few bonuses that I want to include in this. The first one is you would not have to wait for the funds. It was thought that these funds would be available at the time of purchase. So this is a big distinguisher. With a grant or with the old verbiage that we had in this tax credit, funds would be made available to you at the time of purchase. But with this new tax credit verbiage, this would purely be a tax credit that you would be able to receive when filing your taxes when you had already purchased a house. So the funds would not be available when you are trying to buy the house. Now, this could be a good or bad thing. If you need extra funds in the form of down payment assistance or closing costs, with the verbiage right now, this tax credit would not be able to offer that to you. But with that being said, you're not going to have to go through a government or state agency and try to wait on funds in order to buy the house. If you have the funds, you could just move forward with your transaction, and then whenever you file your taxes, you would be able to get this back. Another big bonus here is that this tax credit with its included verbiage would be retroactive. So they have specifically outlined that anyone who has purchased a house after December 31st of 2020, so the last day of 2020, all the way up until and through 2021, if this is passed, would be able to still claim this. So it would be retroactive, it would be able to be backdated. And for those of you who have recently bought yourself a home, you would not be out of luck. Of course, you know I'm going to touch on how to apply. As of right now, you can't apply. There is nothing to apply for. Like I said, this is still just a bill. I am confident that this one will probably continue to move forward and we may see it passed into law this year. But as of right now, it's just too early to say. If this tax credit does make it into law, you will need to have recently bought a house or be planning to buy a house soon. So to learn more about these steps to buy a house, check out this video that I made specifically walking you through the 12 steps from start all the way up through closing so that you know in order what you need to do in order to get a loan, how to find a realtor, get the best house, and get your very own keys. I will see you in the next video.